Thoughts? This all interactive because I ain't teaching. I ain't teaching today. What are your thoughts? How does that make you feel? Are you over there crying? Because when I heard it, I thought it was very profound, and I was definitely in tears. And as I said, you guys can check the actual real video in my stories right now because this is truth. It's a fact. And it's one of the things that we deal with on a day to day basis. Day to day. Thoughts. Hey, Norm. And when it comes down to generational trauma, as I was saying before, these are the very things that we've thought were holding us back. And it paralyzes us to an extent because the reality has always been that these things sit down on the inside of us. And in the makeup of our actual DNA. It has nothing to do with our soul, but it has everything to do with who we are as we walk and as we begin and as we breathe. And knowing that we carry and hold these weights inside of us or on us and in us, that we have to constantly fight and we have to be constantly ridiculed about certain things. What ends up happening is those ideas and those thoughts and that fight, it stays within our DNA, which would make sense why it would stay in our DNA, because the reality is this is what we came to, from heaven to earth to be. The change that we want to see, our very existence is the change that we want to see. Our very being is the change that we want to see. It makes you wonder, is that why others treat us the way they do? Is because they know we are superior. It does make me thank you so much. Tiffany, oh okay. You got me on both sides. Got you, Tiffany. Thank you, girl. Yeah, it does make you wonder. Like it truly does make you wonder um if others see us as superior. I can honestly say that there are when I lived in when I lived in not in Cali, but when I lived in Michigan, and I was around a lot of the Chaldeans. The Chaldeans were like, they was coming for you, girl. You know, like they wanted to date me, they wanted to take me out, they wanted to do all kinds of things with me because they explained to me, they said, you are the mother of earth. I was like, at the time, I was like in my 20s, early 30s. I was like, what does that mean? And they explained it to me. They said, when we see you as a black person, because are on the outskirts, they're the mixture of, hey, what's up, Tiffany? What part? They are on the outskirts of the Chaldeans are on the outskirts of Africa. So that's where Saudi Arabia and all of those the Middle Eastern areas are. So there's a blend between the Africans and the Middle Easterners. And the Middle Easterners have like this understanding and knowing that you black people are the mothers and the fathers, of course. That's where the Chaldeans are. I stayed in Detroit for like 7 years. I used to sing in Detroit and all kinds of girl. I love Detroit. Detroit is my heart, man. Just like Little Rock. Detroit has my heart. I lived in Lincoln Park. I lived in Lincoln Park. I taught in e-course. I taught in e-course because I was right at the borderline of e-course, Allen Park, and Lincoln Park. I was literally like in the mix of those three. So if I walk across the street, I would be in Allen Park. And if I went down, yeah, I was downriver. Yep. I was right there at the intersection of all of those things. Yep. But I used to sing in Detroit. I used to sing off of Livernois. Um, at the time, it was Hangovers. I used to sing there, and I sang at I used to sing it on Livernois at Hangovers. And then I used to also sing at there was it was right on the lake, not far from Grosse Ile. Um, because the guy who owned it, he was trying to turn it into a resort for black people. And I thought that was really cool. So when he did his grand opening, I sang for him, me and my band. Um, I did a lot of singing in Detroit. I sang with the Temptations. I met a few people from Parliament and Funk. Because, Detroit run deep with all the Motown and the P-Funks. But even in that, in our music, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, like I girl, when I say Detroit, I still got people up in Detroit. Like them my peoples. Them my peoples. But when I was in Detroit, it just even in that, we have our beautiful diversity, even in our music and our style of music and how we are. And all of this stuff had to come through the perseverance and the crushing of being in that space of being black, right? And for me, what I offer at this moment is the opportunity not to get away from those things as I connect people to their ancestors. I try my best not to give away so those ideas are erased from you. No, they're not, but it's time for us to evolve as a race. What I do is for everybody. Don't get me wrong, it's for everybody. Again, I love everybody. But I have a specific affinity for Black people because we are the people that have been in this the longest time. And sometimes we don't even see our own true value. And that to me is my biggest concern. And as we see what even ChatGPT, freaking app, AI, understands our true value and understands our true nature. We are the very people that carry so many things. We carry the brunt of a lot of things, even now in our society when we're dealing with the political outlook of things and what we are seeing in our projected output. We see that our government is even trying to nag and to agitate us so we can react. And by us reacting, what ends up happening is it creates this spiral effect. And I think that even in this moment, when we start to recognize who we are and we're starting to recognize our power and we're starting to recognize our worth globally, because even the banned countries that freaking Agent Orange put out, he banned all of these countries, right? And all the countries that he put a travel ban on are all in Africa. Like, what are you trying to do, sir? Right? Are you trying to put us in a position where we're stuck? Are you trying to put us in a position where life is, going to be difficult for us? Like, I don't understand. And I think that's what we're seeing in our society today is something that we've always known. All of us have known these things. Every last one of us, all black color, what no matter what color we are, right? But as Black people, we totally see that this is all a ruse. This is all a game. And nothing changes unless we do something. And we understand that our power, even though at this moment many of us aren't out there in the sidelines protesting. Because I believe right now, as Black people collectively, we are in a position where we are cocooning. We are evolving because we are the creators, as even as ChatGPT says, we are the creators of this world. We have so much power at our disposal, ancestral at this point. We have so much power at our disposal, 1,000% soul of a man, 1,000%. We are so strong at this moment. We are, even in our quietness, we are building up energy because we know that there is going to be something very, very, very strange happening in the near future. But we also understand that we have the power to withstand it in whatever way that is. right? There's a reason why our government is trying to poke at us. There's a reason why our government is trying to create ways for us to come out of the house and protest in order for us to be out on the slaughter, right? And this has been the other thing that I've been so focused on, and I'm just gonna say it because I can. Yes, we are built for this, 1,000% so, man. We are built for this. The thing that has been concerning me the most at this moment, and you guys chime in as you are, as you're doing right now, because it's very helpful. Um, the thing that I am realizing now, and then for those who understand, I'm not a Bible person. I don't do that, but the Bible holds a lot of relevancy, and I'll dive into that a little bit later, but not right now. But I do like to think about the story of Cain and Abel, right? You have Cain that was a part of the martyr. I mean, not the martyr, but Cain was the person who was always looking to please, always trying to find ways to please. But his ways of pleasing was through um, like treacherous means. His ways of pleasing weren't in harmony with our environment. His ways of pleasing were detrimental to almost everything he touched, to the point that he started to look at his brother Abel, and Abel was the one who was outside nurturing nature and connecting with nature and just allowing his presence to just be. When Abel walked, he was just Abel. He didn't have a point to prove in any way, shape, or form. Cain had every single thing to prove. And I understand that there are a lot of people, a lot of the theologians that think about this as well, how they understand that the idea is that Cain was the white version of humanity, right? And then Abel was the black version of humanity. The love, the understanding, the determination, the perseverance. And and Cain was a reflection of the power that a lot of white people want to hold. But this is not literally like the black and white thing in a sense. This is more about the mindset of those thoughts. Hey Jada, it's about the mindset of those thoughts. When we think about Cain and Abel, we think about Cain as a position or in a position to want to be in power. That was his overall idea. His desire was to be in power. That's it. He wanted to be the supreme. He wanted to be the apple of God's eye. He wanted to be this person. He wanted to have these things, but he didn't understand that all he had to do was just be himself. No worries. I'm glad. Hopefully, I see you. Thank you for the heartbeat. But he wanted to just be himself. Abel was. Cain tried. And so when I think about those things, when I think about those two different people that are mentioned in the Bible, I really truly think, thank you so much for the likes. I really start to really think about the two dynamics in what we're seeing in our country, right? I always viewed this whole entire thing with the United States of America. Always. I've always viewed it as a position where what we are looking at is the fight between two different people. Yes, we have the Native Americans. Yes, we have the Latin Americans. Yes, we have the Asian Americans, and yes, we have the Indian Americans. We have this great melting pot found within our country and in our society. But outside of all of those things, the major fight and the major factor has been the black people and white people. That has been the major battle that has been in our country. Everything has been deemed to be created systemically in order to keep black people down. If you do not look white, you are automatically deemed as black, meaning that you are put in a position where you do not have power. But even in spite of all of those things and all of those laws and all of those things that are created, black people still hold power in the resistance. And their resistance isn't just regular resistance as far as the idea of resisting through violent means or resisting through heinous means or harmful means. The resistance is just them being them. Black people being black people, period. Right? And the same idea of black people just being black people, thank you, Ro, welcome in. And the same idea of black people being black people, again, as I stated before, it didn't matter what background you were in the 1800s or the early 1900s and close to the dang near 2000s. It didn't matter what race you were outside of, the minority groups, didn't matter to white people at the time because at that time you were still considered to be black or colored, right? And those systems that we live in are marginalized due to this fact of the color of our skin is so vastly different from our white counterparts, especially the ones in power. And so when we look at that and we tie it all back into the idea of what happened between Cain and Abel, we can look at the dynamics of the actual Cain being in our forefront, being in our face, being in our face, and Abel. And it's like even though Cain destroyed Abel, right? Because I have to use my words candidly, even though Cain destroyed Abel, his blood still cried out. His blood still cried out. And that's the same thing that has happened here in our United States of America and worldwide, but it really happened here in the United States of America. The blood stains are still crying out. The blood stains are still crying out to the point that I can still see dead people, right? The blood stains are still crying out that even though we understand that the erasure is happening right there in our forefront, in our faces and in our eyes, and what we are seeing in our lives at this moment, we can still understand that at the end of the day, the ancestors are still here doing what they're going to do in order to make sure that we're good and we're safe. Collectively, it does not, again, collectively, most of black people have come together and said, this is not what we're going to do. This is what we're not going to tolerate the way that things are anymore. We're over that. It's time for us to rest. And again, like I said, when I look at us, when I look at black people as a collective, outside of the ones who, still are trying to chase power, but the ones that are here, I see us in a point of evolution. And if we're going to follow through what ChatGPT was saying about black people, when I see that, when I hear that, the reality in that as well is that there is time for a change to happen. We ain't moving right now, and that's cool. Many of us are in a space of healing, and I hope that you guys consider getting a one-on-one session with me where I can help release you from those things in order for all of us to evolve. I can't take everybody in the world, right? I can't change or help change everybody in the world. That's not my job. But what my job is to do is to ensure that I do the best thing that I can to help at least the black people who've been suffering the most, in my opinion. We've been suffering with waiting for solutions, understanding that, Jesus the Christ came in order for us to see. And that's what I'm gonna dive into that too. Jesus the Christ. And it was so funny because I was talking to my dad. Um, I was talking to two people. One, I was talking to a girl. Yes, I am healing proudly. Thank you. And thank you for the gifts. Yeah, because it's needed, right? It's definitely needed in our society, right? Now, let alone the Native Americans. Native Americans have been healing in their own space as well. It's their own space as well, right? And the reality when it comes down to who we are as people, I was sharing with a friend, I was sharing with her that black people We get so stuck on names that we don't realize that when we first came into this world as human beings, our overall objective was to be here through feelings. And this is what I talk about in my webinar. Absolutely free. Check it out. All human beings come in through feelings, right? Words don't matter. But when we get here, we have all of these different names that are given to us, especially if you black, right? You got Rika, Riri, Shaniqua, Shantae, and their real name is Marie, right? But the funny thing, especially even with my son, my son has several different names: Nuka, Nu, Sharkito. All of these names have been given to my son, but the one that what his real name is Nova, right? But he answers to all of them. And so she and I were having this discussion of, well, Jesus isn't his real name, right? Jesus isn't the person's real name. Like his name is something totally different, but we keep calling him by that name. And so many of us, especially when it comes down to the deconstruction of the deconstruction of Christianity, right? I'm for it because I've been in deconstruction since I was 19 years old. I'm 45, so I'm for it, right? When it comes down to us looking at the Bible, and this is my own personal belief, so don't I'm just sharing what I believe for a second, and then I'm gonna jump back to not being neutral, right? For me, what I personally believe is that if we call on Jesus or we call him Yeshua, we call him the universe, we call God source, we call God whatever it is that you subscribe to, whatever it is that you subscribe to is going to answer. There shouldn't be, in my opinion, there shouldn't be a particular thing to say in order to converse with the higher self, the higher being, the supreme being, right? Whoever you subscribe to, that's where the relationship building comes into place to whoever you subscribe to, in my opinion. Now, when it comes down to the Bible, and I was sharing this with my father. The Bible in itself is a genealogical blueprint for Jesus, the Christ, right? When you look at the names of the people that came before Christ himself, all of those names explain the making and the becoming of who he is and was, right? And in the Bible, it tells us um, that Christ is an example of how we should live our lives. And what the thing that concerns me is, as Black people, we don't look at it as just that. It gives us the ideas of what people have done and what people can do in our own lives. But the same blueprint and the same book of life, hey Mari, the same book of life that was created for Jesus is the same book of life that's been created for all of us. Like the new service that I am offering, hey Pooh, the new service that I'm offering, because I like to prove myself wrong, the new service that I'm offering is understanding the names of the people that came before you. Because I did this for me and my son. Understanding the people that came, their names that came before you, and how it articulates and it creates the life that you're supposed to have. How the names of the family members that you were born into, like your great grandma, your grandparents, your great grandparents, your grandparents, and your mom and dad, all of their names lead up to who you are today. In the same parallel of Jesus the Christ, the same process, right? So in that, and knowing that, we can see the blueprint that Christ in his Bible, in his genealogical book, line of ancestors in his book, we can see that this is what has been given to him. And it's given to us as a way to understand that this is what's happening in our lives as well. Christ came so we can see, right? Christ came so we can see how life should be. in our own makeup, in our own lives. Christ came, and this is just my own opinion. You guys can take it or leave it, do whatever you want. But in my opinion, what I've seen is that we see that he was birthed. We see that upon his birth, his mother went out and God spoke to him and said, "Hey, guess what? Hey, where art thou, Manny?" That Christ came and spoke to Mary and said, "Hey, you pregnant girl," right? And she's like, "I can't be because we know the story, right?" But the reality is, it's the same thing that many of us go through when we have our children. Even the African people, there's an African tribe that I talked about a couple of years back where the woman goes outside and she listens for her song, her child's song. She sits there and waits for her child's song. And when she gets her child's song, she comes back and tells her husband about it. It's the same concept. And when she tells her husband about it and she sings the song to the husband and they both learn this song, the reality is, in a different way, eventually this baby comes into this earth. They grabbed onto the frequency in knowing that this is what we're going to have. This is what's going to happen. This is the child that we're going to have. Same thing that happened with Christ. Mary went outside and was like, "Yo," and God created source, whoever you subscribe to was like, "Yo, guess what? You're gonna have a son." She goes back, tells Joseph. Joseph's like, "Nah, that can't be possible because we ain't did the do, right?" And he like, "Well, she like, we still gonna have this son." Same process, the exact same process. When he went through his life, he had to learn. When he was about 12 years old, he had to step away from the church and get his own identity and understand who he was as a person. We all know around the age of 12 is when we start questioning things. We start questioning how life is. And then we start making our own decisions for our lives from that point on. When we get into our 30s, that's when we start to realize, oh snap, this is what life is about. Let me get my act together. Same thing that happened with Christ. When he died, because we all gotta die. We all gotta die. It's just what it is, it's nature. We all gonna die. But when he died and rose again, right? The reality is that at the end of the day, we all gonna go away, but we not gonna go nowhere. We gonna still be right here. The moment that anybody calls our names, when we're on the other side, we gonna be right there with them. Same process. It's just a blueprint. It's just a blueprint of who we are as humans. And a lot of times we completely we miss the mark on that. We look at it as the fact of this is how we're supposed to live, and he didn't have this and he didn't have that. And it's like, how did you come to that conclusion that Christ didn't have certain things? Because it's not mentioned. We're still not getting the full story of his life. But the part of the story that we do have is the one that we need to hold on to, because in it has cues in order for us to live the way that we're supposed to live. Dude wasn't in no dang on, dude wasn't in no mosque. He wasn't in the temple. He wasn't in the church. He wasn't confined by the religious thoughts that we all see in our lives today. He was not that person. But we built a religion based off of him, and that's not even what he wanted. His overall objective was, hey, if you come through the Father, you come through me. If you go to the Father, you got to come through me. Could that come through me mean that we need to look at his life as our blueprint and how we should treat other people and how we should live towards other people and how we should be when we're around people? Not to pray to him, but to understand that at the end of the day, that he is the way, the truth, and the light. Like that's I'm the way, the truth, and the light, because he's showing us how to live. It's how we live, not how we pray to him, not when we call his name. Like, that's not valid. Practically speaking, in my opinion, that's not valid. That's not what it was designed to be. When you call his name, or when you call your ancestors' name, when you call your family's name, they are going to be there for you. period. Because they love you unconditionally, period. He loved his disciples unconditionally. So he was there when Thomas was like, yo, I don't believe you, dog. Show me the nails in your hand. Let me see your side, my dude. Right? When that happened, why wouldn't our ancestors do the same thing? Why wouldn't we do the same thing for our children? Especially for the ones who have multiple children. You see that your family needs you here. And I think the reason why I'm bringing this up even more so is because I just had a conversation with my father about this, right? And knowing that no matter what position he's in, he's still trying to protect me as my dad. I'm grown. I'm too grown. I'm 45. But my dad still sees me as his little girl. The same thing is what happens when your family cross over to the other side. Now, how does all this tie in? Because I got to make it all make sense. How does this all tie into the idea of what we just heard with ChatGPT? We are the blueprint. We've always been the blueprint. That's just what it is, point blank, period. It just is. Because of the ostracization that we have gone through continuously. It hasn't been something that just happened overnight. This is something that has been continuous. The raids in Africa in the 600s and the 700s, how many of the people from Rome wanted to raid Africa, and now they're just now finding the skulls of those bodies of the people who were raided at that time in order for Rome to be set free, in order for Rome to be. We see that now. Those bones are now being put back into the place where they were once before. Just now, from the 700s BC. That's a lot of trauma that people are facing. That's deep down buried trauma from centuries before us. And understanding that our purpose here on this earth, our purpose here as Black people, goes so much deeper than the color of our skin. But it's a true reflection that no matter what happens at the end of the day, no matter what color you are at the end of the day, if a Black person can get through it, you can too. And then I was also watching this one young lady. She's very interesting. She has a lot of input, a lot of things to say. And some of it is thought provoking, and some of it is just a little, okay, you did. But one of her questions was how Black people uses or how Black people, and she's Black. She was asking how Black people can be in a position where we've been the very things, the crushing that Black people collectively had to go through. How come it's not taught, or the compassion isn't for everyone else when they're going through the crushing too? And what I'm learning is, especially even now, like everybody has to get to the point, again, the evolution of humanity is here. Everybody has to get to a point where they are being crushed in order for them to find their own voices. For many people, they have used Black people, the Black people struggle, as their cushion. And for Black people in America to take their hands off of it and say, hey, guess what? This is not what I want to do. I'm done. I'm out. I don't want to do this no more. We done with that. It forces other people and others to go into a position where they have to start using their own voices. They can't lean on Black people to be the person that, or the people that fights on their behalf. They got to fight for themselves too. And in that is the creation of the evolution of people as a whole. In that creates that camaraderie that we should all have. Because even right now, I watched another young lady who was just really distraught because she voted her way. She voted for whoever she chose to vote for, and her father got deported. And she didn't believe that that would happen to her or her family because she believed that the adjacency to power is what it is, right? And the reality has been, in my opinion, is from the Latin community, the Latin American and the Latin community, I've learned that colorism is real. And the closer to white that you are, the closer to God you are in their eyes. And again, that's another form of generational trauma that they deal with. And I'm learning more about that in life. But it also devalues how we see power. What do we look at power? What do we see as strength? And like the ChatGPT, what they were saying on there is how ChatGPT views strength. It views strength in a different way. So that's my thoughts. What are y'all's? I've been saying a lot, and you guys can interject at any time because it is an open platform and an open forum. But those are my thoughts. Those are definitely my thoughts. What say you? And I know I'm late. Gosh, I know I'm late. What say you? Trauma, abandonment, and rejection. Let's end it. I agree. Hey, Jace. Hey, Jace, how are you, JC? Yeah, and that's what I'm definitely here for. I'm here to help in the generational trauma that has been passed on to us because we are at the position that we are evolving. This is definitely a full evolution. It's a full evolution. I can't say it any different. Hey, D. Am I going to see you Saturday? For those who are coming in, I would love to. I forgot all about it. For those who are coming in, whoever said something, if it was your comment, space out the words, make it a little bit different. TikTok didn't like it. For those who are coming in, I am doing a seminar. It's online. You guys can go to it. It's absolutely free. And you guys can catch me in conversing about healing generational traumas. You guys can go to the link in my bio. It's called the Hill Summit. Hey, Kuma. It's called the Hill Summit. I want you guys to click the link. Yes, let's talk about that. I want you guys to click the link in our bio. And when you click the link in our bio, go to Hill Summit, and Hill Summit will redirect you um, to the seminar that I am doing, which has been really cool to do. Absolutely free. Or you can go to the link in our bio and join our newsletter, and you'll get it in the newsletter next week. And I sent one for this week, so you guys might get it then too. Now, when it comes down to poverty, the poverty curse, the funny thing is, what I have talked about in previous lives, especially when it comes down to fathers, our financial freedom is not tied to money. Our financial freedom is tied to our fathers. Let me say that again. Our financial freedom is not tied to money. Our financial freedom is tied to our fathers. And the reason why I say that is because our fathers create the foundation of who we are outside aesthetically. So when you have your mother in a healthy environment, when you have your mother in your life, and your mother is with you this entire time, she's hanging out with you, she's nurturing you, she's giving you the skills that you need in order for you to be the best version of yourself. And a healthy mother can raise healthy children. That's what scientists have now proven. A healthy single mom can raise a healthy child without a father. That's what science has proven. A father does not need to be there as long as the mother utilizes her village. And her village can be of all things, of all people that are collectively pouring into their children or that child. Again, it takes a village to raise a child. And it also takes a village to maintain a family as well. And when it comes down to the poverty curse, which is a poverty belief, because I'm not really much on curses, right? Um, when it comes down to the poverty mindset, the reality is your father was there or should have been there to provide you with the support system that you need. Your father is the person that empowers you to move forward, encourages you to move forward. Your father is there to um, provide you with the inner workings of understanding that no matter what I do, I don't need to people please. I don't need to be there to make sure everyone else is okay. I need to look out for myself in the most healthiest way. But what ends up happening, especially in our society, the fathers have been removed. And because the fathers have been removed, especially in the black community, without the fathers, then there's no way that the community can thrive because emotionally, when it comes down to people in general, emotionally, they don't have the backing that they need or the support that they need when they were growing up. Therefore, you have the poverty mindset in a sense because your father wasn't around to give you the support you needed in order to tell you that it's okay. And even if your father personally wasn't around, the mere fact that an uncle or someone in your life, a grandfather, or someone in your life had enough strength and courage to back you and to see you for who you were and to empower you and to give you the strength that you need to move forward. If you didn't have those things, then poverty is one of those things that is a backlash from not having a father. Doesn't mean that it can't be fixed. That's really an easy fix if you choose to rewrite your own story when it comes down to your generational traumas. And your generational traumas are associated to even your genetic beliefs, which comes directly from your family. And if you look at your life and you want to change the narrative of that, then you have to truly look at the things that a father would have given to you and make the decision that you are going to give those things to you as a person. That you are going to be that person or that father that you've always needed. That's your responsibility. That you're going to give yourself that love that you always needed. You're going to be the person that gives yourself that support that you've always needed. And that's one way that you can literally rewrite your narrative and start to change the trajectory of the poverty curse. Thank you so much for saying something, Jason. I appreciate that. Go ahead, drop some more in there, because I'm gonna tell you. If you want me to dive in deeper, I can. But those are my thoughts and my opinions when it comes down to to poverty. It's your father's fault, but it's not your father's fault. It's society and how society created who you are, which is part of your historical beliefs. And this is a form to keep you in a position where you are stuck. And this is a subconscious belief that plays in the back of your mind. But you still have the power to change that and rewrite that narrative so you don't have to ever be in a position where you are that you're impoverished. Thank you guys so much. Hey, Sharon. Well, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I greatly appreciate it. I know that I've been here for an hour now, so TikTok will start sending more people in. If you guys have any questions when it comes down to generational traumas, please put them in the comments. I can help you the best that I can. Thank you for the team, me. I can help you the best way that I can. Welcome to the team. Welcome to the tribe as well. Hope you hit that follow button. I think we follow each other. You follow me. Yep, we're friends. Cool. Um, yep. Um, but yeah, that's what I do. I help people heal generational traumas, and we dive in deep. We pull things out from the root in order for you to start enjoying your life and have it more abundantly. That is my overall objective. We are in the cocoon state, especially if you're black. We are in the cocoon state, and while we're in this cocoon, let's go and make this live and our lives so much easier and so much better because they are poking, and eventually that poke is going to turn into something. And we need to be ready for that evolution in order to share with the world who we are. So, absolutely. Thank you for the engagement. Thank you for the questions. Greatly appreciated. With that being said, thank you all for your time. Thank you for your grace. Your time is the most valuable thing that I can never. Hey, Santoy, your time is the most valuable thing that I can never, ever, never, ever repay you for. It is the most valuable thing that you can have in your space. And I am so thankful that you have chosen to spend your time with me because you can't ever get it back. And I hope that what you have learned or what you've gathered, you too, what you have learned or what you have gathered has been empowering and helpful for you in your life and where you want to be and where you want to go. Make sure you hit that follow button. Also, check out the link in our bio. Join our Hill Summit. It's absolutely free. Check it out. Also, check out all of the things that we have to offer here at Black Cherokee One Tribe. Link in the bio. Holla. Bye, y'all.